Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I am bringing you my new series called Stories About Judges. And it is so very appropriate that we're bringing these two fellas to the party. You know, Beavis and Butthead. It's like, in the judiciary, I think it's Clevis and Buttheads. You know, sometimes things don't make that much sense. You know what I mean? Beavis and Butthead would be more comfortable and more confident sometimes in the courtroom than your most intelligent, well-meaning advocate with all these years of education and experience that doesn't know what the fuck is going on or what they're talking about because it don't really make sense. All right? So now that the system has sort of turned its back on me, well, I'm going to go ahead and get back at them. And I'm going to tell you some stories about some judges. Here's one. How about the not so very honorable John SLOOP? So let me set the stage for you. Here I am, baby lawyer. You know, bodaciously started my own practice straight after getting admitted. Probably my third year. I'm trying to relocate back to northern central Florida, where like there are some Americans around. It's a couple gringos and shit mixed in, unlike where I live now. So like, yeah, I was trying to move back to central Florida, so I picked up a couple cases in that area, and one of them was a case involving, well, a farmer gigolo, so to speak. Basically, my client was an older lady that had recently gotten divorced. She lived in a little bitty trailer. She was like a teacher's age. She made about $200 a week. She was probably 60 years of age. And I don't know, she had a little acre of property or something, and somebody put a horse on there, and I don't know, there was a little hay or something in a barn. So, lo and behold, as soon as she gets her, like, money from her divorce, she gets a new hanger-on. A regular guy, you know, kind of a Joe Camel, Marlboro Cool, a few years younger than her. Very mysterious, you know, rough and tumble sort of country man. She's desperate. So he starts doing a little work for her, so-called, around the so-called farm and the trailer. And next thing you know, she buys a $10,000 truck, which to them was like a gazillion, and he convinced her to let him have it and that he'll make the payments. Well, Beavis and Butthead could tell you about how that's going to work out, yo. Because what happens is, you know, the guy just keeps the truck and leaves her, never talks to her again. Whatever, Dodge Ram. Dodge Ram for him, Dodge Ram for the stud. Muffin. So, she wants me to sue him. So I'm a baby lawyer. I'm like, sure. I go to DeLand, Florida. Case is assigned, along with many, many others, to courtroom of one John SLOOP. There is one thing cool about that man. That's his name. SLOOP. Reminds me of a certain aging rap star. The SNOOP. Nah, sloop is kind of like a boat or something like that. I don't know. Like doop doop bloop bloop. It's like a song that, I don't know, cool people make in their music. So, what happened after that? Well, we got called to have a little mini trial. So I'm up there, baby lawyer, very idealistic and naive. Here's my hapless client. I think she paid me like $500. And so I present my case. Now, there's no written contract. It's her word against his. So how am I going to establish that this was not a fucking gift? You know what I mean? That he was supposed to pay her back for this truck. He's supposed to make payments. Well, I figure one way to do that is to look at her standard of living and figure out, like, is this lady like so monetarily plentiful that she could just buy a random guy like a 10 grand nice truck? Hell no, she never had a $10,000 vehicle in her entire life. Okay, she's definitely lower on the socioeconomic spectrum. So like, I present my case. How much do you make a week, ma'am? $200 a week. The teaching assistant, yes. How much is your trailer worth? About $1,000. How many square feet is it? I don't know, 300. You know, it's pretty low on the totem pole. So I present all this evidence. I even show pictures of her extremely humble trailer that she lives in, which is worth far less than $10,000. make my arguments to the judge. I'm making my closing argument, I say. Judge, you'll recall that we showed you some pictures of her trailer, which shows you the economic spectrum in which this lady lives her life. And all of a sudden I hear exactly this. You never showed me any photographs of her home. I'm like, what? Come again? What? Like, ask the audience? I don't know. Okay, well, okay. I guess we'll just move on to the next question then. Thank you, Judge. Now, you'll recall, well, not next question, but next issue, because this is my closing. You'll recall, sir, Your Honor, I'm trying to make sure he's, like, paying attention. I'm looking for hearing aids. I say, you'll recall then, that's my little way of digging back in and saying, oh, in fact, I did just show you pictures of her trailer. You'll recall then that my client testified that she makes $200 per week as a teaching assistant. There's been no testimony about your client's earnings. Well, then I guess I'll just fucking sit down. Okay? Because what am I going to do? Go through the other less significant evidence and get the same fucking response? I should have literally played like it was Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, turned around and said, ask the audience. But as a baby lawyer, I didn't have the chutzpah, stones, cojones to do that kind of thing. These guys would. No problem. No problem. Fire, fire. They're all fired. So, how do we wrap this story up? The judge doesn't rule. I drive back to Oakland Park, Florida from DeLand, Florida. I'm in my office about 7 p.m. My phone rings. Is this Mr. Trent? I said, yes, it is. He said, this is Judge John Sloop up in DeLand, Florida. I believe you had a trial before me earlier today. Yes, sir. Well, I talked to my bailiff, and he says that you did, in fact, show me pictures of her trailer, and you did present testimony that she makes $200 a week. So what I decided I'm going to do is tell that guy, the defendant, he can go and be a male gigolo somewhere else. How's that sound to you, Mr. Trent? Well, that'll be fine, Judge. Thank you so much. Whew. So I did a little research on this guy, and actually, I don't know if it was like a month or a year later, but there was a newspaper article. So one day, Judge Sloop is presiding over traffic court, first appearance. So there's like 40 people. They've got notices in the mail saying, you got a ticket for speeding, you have to be in this courtroom at like 1 o'clock or whatever in DeLand. Judge Sloop presiding. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help your whack ass? So, like, you know, here we are. Time out. Life's incredible. The old, not so honorable John Sloop is sitting up there on the bench. It's 105. It's 110. There's not a single one of the 50 traffic ticket recipients who showed up for his courtroom. So, what does the veritable Sherlock Holmes intellect of Judge John Sloop decide to do? Well, he says the following. I'm writing a warrant, a bench warrant, for every single one of those people right now. So you guys better get ready to go out and haul some folks in here. So he sits there, and he's signing, I don't know, maybe it was 18 people, but it was a large group. Maybe it wasn't 50. I think it was 18 or 20. So he signs all these fucking bench warrants, okay? And just as he's signing the last one, a little bit of extra, probably extra wood in his pants, the bailiff comes in. Judge, the notices told everyone to be in room 2A down the hall. You're in room 1A, Judge. What's that got to do with me? You know, I'm done. I'm going to lunch. So Judge John Sloop, he went to fucking lunch, y'all. No. So the Judicial Qualifications Commission actually did something for once in their damn lives and brought charges against Judge John Sloop. Guess what his defense was? Wow, not only is he Sherlock Holmes, he's Clarence Darrow, because he says, well, guys, I've got a medical condition that keeps me from being able to pay attention or sit still for a long period of time. And also it affects my memory. So I'm going to go ahead and like to keep being a judge. Basically, the ruling is, we're glad to know that you're not fucking Adolf Hitler. However, you have summarily disqualified yourself from ever again sitting on the bench. Get the fuck out, John Sloop. Boom. Go sail a sloop around the world, homie.